This episode of the Local Hustlers podcast is sponsored by Crossbow Equine. If you own a business, you need to check out Crossbow Equine for all of your social media marketing and branding needs. Throughout her entrepreneurial journey, owner Kylie Bowen has gained a deep understanding of marketing, branding, and telling your story in an authentic professional manner to help you gather raving fans and paying clients and customers. For our listeners only, Kylie is offering a free 30-minute consultation call and 50% off your first month of services. Contact her today at 480-254-7650.
You're listening to the Local Hustlers Podcast, East Valley Locals. Get connected with small businesses near you and dive deep into their stories, mindset, and motives. Entrepreneurs everywhere. Get ready to be inspired by business owners, entrepreneurs, and hustlers that you can relate to and learn from. And now, your hosts, Dallin Huso and Ridge Waldberg.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Local Hustlers podcast. This week, we're super excited to be here with lifelong Mesa Frozen Yogurt fans and now owners of the business, Becca Speakman and Sarah Carus. How's it going, guys?
Great.
So good.
Hi.
Awesome.
Hello.
Hi. We're super excited to have you guys on the show today. Why don't you guys take a couple minutes before we dive into the business? Tell us about your life, kind of growing up, how you guys came together, everything leading up to Mesa Frozen Yogurt.
All of it. You want to go first?
Yeah, well, I have been a Mesa Froyo fan since I was 2. I can remember going there when I was literally some of my earliest memories are from going there way back in the day when the original owners owned it. So it has always been a part of my life. It's always been a favorite treat. It's always been near and dear to our hearts, and grew up going there and enjoying the product. And then in high school, of course, that was the first job I wanted because we loved it so much. So as soon as I graduated high school, I applied, and the owners already knew me, so it was a quick shoe in there. And so I started working there, and then not long after that, we were looking for some other employees, and want to take over from that part when you come in there?
Oh, sure. Sarah was already working there, and I was dating her brother, and I was looking for a job, and he said, hey, go work with my sister down at the yogurt shop. That's where all the cute girls from Mesa High go to work.
And he wanted free yogurt.
And mostly he wanted the free froyo.
I was going to ask, so did you get free yogurt while you were working there?
Absolutely not.
We're supposed to.
We're not supposed to.
Still
Gotcha.
not. So Sarah got me the job, again, because I was dating her brother, and I needed a job. And there we were. I don't know. That's how we came together, I guess.
Yeah, we already knew each other. Obviously, because she was dating my brother. Okay. So we already knew that. So it was fun. And my sister was working there too at the time. So it was me and my sister and my brother's girlfriend, and we were a fun little party.
Nice.
We had some good times.
And how long did you guys work there for?
Total for me, I think, was about 2.5 years. I worked there for 2 years, and I went out of town to college, and I came back and needed a quick job. And so she hired me again for another 8 months until I got engaged.
And same, actually. I got the job at Mesa Frozen my senior year of high school and worked there past graduation and my first year and a half or so at MCC. Same, right up until I got engaged. And that kind of still is our demographic of employee. We hire these girls right around junior, senior year of high school. And we always know, when they get to be about that age where they've graduated and they're post-graduation about a year. And pretty soon they get a super serious boyfriend. And we go, well, I guess it's time to start thinking. Yep. And sure enough, we get a 2 weeks notice, almost always immediately followed with an engagement announcement.
That's funny.
So yeah, not a whole lot has changed there.
That's why everyone loves it. Cute girls, cute, fun personalities. We love our girls. They're great.
That's fun. Great, so you guys both went to college. What was kind of your plan at that point while you were going to Mesa Frozen Yogurt? Were you guys wanting to pursue entrepreneurship, or did you guys have other things in mind?
No, that was not part of my plan originally. That was I never necessarily planned on being a business owner. I went to MCC for a couple of years, got my associates. I went up to BYU, was only there for a semester, ran out of money, had to come back. Went back to MCC and got another associates, and then I got married and just started a family, and that was kind of my focus for the past 15 years has just been raising that family. I mean, and my kids grew up going there. I mean, that's always been a place to visit for us,
sure.
and it's always been a favorite, but I had never necessarily planned on starting a business. My husband has always been the business owner. He's always wanted to have small, businesses and start businesses. He's a huge entrepreneur in that regard, and he's always wanted to do that. So when my youngest started getting a bit older, and the owners who had owned it before us, they had owned it for about 20 years. We realized they were starting to get older and we're going to start looking to sell it soon. Yeah. That's when we kind of got it in our head, hey, this would be a really great place to own, because we already knew the process. We already knew the people, the place. And so that's kind of when we started putting it in their ear, hey, when you're ready to sell, let us know. We're definitely interested. And they knew us because we had worked for them 15 years, it was still the same owners. And so that's kind of how that started for me. It's just being like, this would be a great thing to be a part of, and we know it. And so that's when that's when it started for me.
I do feel like this is where the similarities between our stories kind of end, because where that was never even a thought in your mind at the time. For me, I've always had that entrepreneurial bug. For sure. And so even as a young employee at Mesa Frozen, not so much obviously my senior year of high school, but that year and a half or so that I was working there and putting myself through college as well, I actually had a handful of jobs at the time. Mesa Frozen was one of 3 things that I was doing to make a little bit of money, putting myself through school, saving up for an upcoming wedding. And I can remember back then saying to my, her brother, my boyfriend, then eventually my fiance, right? Saying to him, we could own a frozen yogurt shop. Why not? I work there. I know how to run the place. I know how to open it. I know how to close it. I have a general idea of how to keep books. It wasn't that owning the yogurt shop necessarily was the dream at the time, just some form of small business ownership.
For sure.
I was working for a handful of small business owners. I had some experience running some books at one of my other jobs that I was working. My dad had been an entrepreneur and a small business owner, and so I kind of understood the hustle side of it. I don't know, just the thought has always been there of if I'm going to be working hard anyways on behalf of somebody else, why not work just as hard but on behalf of myself?
Work on
so
yourself.
At a very young age, it was always, I'd look at the employers or the places where I had an opportunity to be working and think, I could do this, but just for me instead of for them. So that was always on my radar. I'm
always curious how so you two knew each other growing up, both had entrepreneurship in your family, but you on one hand never even thought of it. You were always thinking about it. Do you think it was something in the way that you were raised, or just something you're born with to have the entrepreneurial spirit?
So I personally think so, and maybe you feel differently. Just having experience, obviously, with my family and the way I was brought up, but then also obviously being very close to Sarah's family, and then kind of getting a front row seat to the way you guys were brought up, just from being married into the family. I think so. I think that's where a lot of that difference comes from. I can remember even dating your brother in high school, and then us being friends, that way, and getting to know you and seeing that a lot of your goals and passion and drive as you looked forward to your future were centered around getting married and having a family and starting that. Whereas I was not in that place at all. All of my focus and passion and drive at that same age was I can't wait to finish college and get my degree and then, explore all these different avenues of what I could possibly do with it. Not to say family aspirations weren't there, but just at that time they were, mine, whereas yours were definitely a front seat and a main driver. For me, that stuff was back burner. I'm going to probably eventually have a family someday, but
different passions, right?
I think so. And also different talents. I think you are just such a talented, wife and mother and homemaker, and I'm muddling my way through those things, but those are not my forte.
Whatever. She's the favorite aunt. Everyone loves that.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm everybody's favorite aunt, but my kids are gonna need a ton of therapy.
Men, but no, but also I think in my family, that's kind of where my mother is a stay-home mother, so that's, she was always home. That's kind of what I saw and what I wanted to model. But the men in my family are all very hardworking, and so that I knew my brothers would all do, or eventually will have their own businesses. I think they are all kind of have entrepreneurial spirits. My father is a huge entrepreneurial. Like he's had millions of things throughout his life of starting his own businesses and having his own things. Hasn't always panned out, but he's always tried those. So even though that wasn't what I had in mind for me, I saw that from my father and from his father and from all the boys and my brothers all grew up being very hardworking with their hands, very trades, and so
the work ethic in that family is unparalleled for sure.
Very strong.
But yeah, I think so. I think the way we were brought up, I think that your family model was much more of like what you would think of like a traditional family, men out working hard, mom at home raising the family and excelling there. And then I think my family model growing up was not very traditional, and just that I had great examples in both men and women of people who, went to school and prioritized their education, and not that one's better or
right.
worse.
No, neither one's right or wrong.
Different,
yeah, just different examples.
So I've always been super curious about the process of buying a business. First of all, finding out a business is for sale, and then the whole transaction. So you guys want to kind of dive into that. You briefly mentioned that you'd kind of put in their ear that you were interested if they were ever selling, but how did that whole process kind of lay itself out?
So I think it was like maybe over 2 or even 3 years, I would continually go in there, and every time I saw Nan, the previous owners, I'd be like, "Hey, you guys ready to sell yet?" And it was kind of a joke, but kind of not, And he's like, "Oh, not yet. We're not quite ready yet," And it was every single time I saw them, like, "Well, just keep us in mind. Don't, forget. Just let me know." And so, literally, it was out of nowhere. One morning, 2 years ago almost, she showed up on my doorstep, knocked on my door, and she with an envelope. She's like, we're selling. Here's our proposal. And I was just blown away. I'm like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah, she purposefully came to me first because we had kept up a relationship with her. She said there was 2 or 3 other people. She had other people interested, but she knew that I loved the yogurt shop and that wanted to, I already knew the process, and she really wanted to pass on her legacy to someone who would take care of it, which was totally understandable. And so it was just blew me away. Like I was not expecting it because they had kept saying we're not quite ready yet. But so I talked about it with my husband. We were both really excited about it. Mm-hmm. My youngest wasn't quite in kindergarten yet, and so I was a little bit daunted with like, okay, how am I going to do this?
Exactly.
Immediately, Nathan and Becca came to mind because number one, I had heard them talk all the time about wanting to own a yogurt shop, like specifically like wanting to make one or run, and I knew that this had been one of their dreams, so it would be awesome to be able to split the workload between someone else, but also Becca's fabulous at like the social aspect of everything and the creative side of everything, and that's not necessarily my strength. Is like the look of everything. And so I knew even if that they weren't interested in joining with us, I knew that I'd like want to hire her to redecorate and to do something like that, because she's just got that great eye for what's current and what's trendy and what would just bring it back to life. And it was kind of getting to that point where it would need a makeover in the near future. To bring in the more younger, upcoming crowd. So, I think it was at Margie's birthday party a couple of years ago when
Halloween. It was at a Halloween party.
Something, I took Nathan aside, my brother, was like, "I have this really exciting proposition, and I want to know if you're interested." And I was just, Nan approached me, and she wants to sell the yogurt shop, and are you guys interested? And immediately he's like, "Yes, absolutely. Are you joking?" Like, 100% yes. So we met not long after that as a couple, as my brother and Becca, me and my husband, to work out all the details and if it would work, and we were just all totally on board with it. It was just
it was Halloween. We were at a Halloween party at our house. You came to us and said, "Hey, Nan and Jean want to sell the business to us. What do you think? You want to go in together?" That was at a Halloween party, and by our family Thanksgiving, we had already hammered out all the details and agreed upon it. So by Thanksgiving, we were able to announce it to our families. Hey, guess what, guys? We're going into business together, and this is what we're doing. And the yogurt shop's now in the family.
Wow.
So yeah, within that month between Halloween and Thanksgiving, we went from Sarah saying, "Hey, guess what? Opportunity," to us being able to announce it to our family as like, yep, this is a done deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could have been the best announcement for them. They just like cheered.
Our
because
whole
our
family
was
Yeah.
like, what?
And then,
That's
of
so
course,
cool.
everybody's looking at us. Does this mean we all get free yogurt
Right,
now?
that's the first question.
And the
huh?
answer is no, because we have a huge family. They would eat us right out of business.
Yeah, you guys would go bankrupt, huh? That's funny. So for anyone like looking to buy a business, what did you guys look at in terms of like financials, numbers? Be like, okay, this makes sense. This is like something that's gonna work out for us.
Yeah, good question. So at the point that Nan and Jean had approached Sarah about purchasing the business, so Nathan and I had already owned our first small business.
Okay.
And that was a different process because this was not one that we purchased. This was one that we built from the ground up. We'd been doing it since 2009. So we kind of already knew how to run a business, but definitely buying an already existing business is totally different than starting one from the ground up. In some ways, Mesa Frozen was a no-brainer because of the history, right? It's been around since 1983. So at this point that we're talking about purchasing it, it's like, okay, track record alone like speaks for itself. It's been, you know, a successful, viable small business in this little corner of Mesa, literally since the early 80s. Like, it's older than I am, you know what I mean? Like, and so you're looking at that going, okay, it's withstood all kinds of, you know, economic ups and downs. So you know that it's got that viability. It's got that staying power. But aside from that, like, obviously you need to do your due diligence. And we did, of looking at, you know, the owner's past couple of years of books and looking at the numbers and, you know, seeing, okay, you know, checks and balances, the maths add up. It makes sense. And not only that, kind of understanding what we had intended to invest over our first couple of years as small business owners in order to make the changes that we wanted to be able to make. And then, you know, just the maths of, okay, by the time we make the purchase and then by the time we do the investing we feel it needs to have done, you know, how long are we looking at before we're able to start paying ourselves back for our initial investment? And, you know, does it make sense to be out that kind of, you know, capital in the meantime? And so yeah, I mean, it's, you know, that's the not sexy part of business ownership, but it's just it's the numbers. And I do think that's important when you've got like both an emotional investment in a business already, which obviously both of us had. Like, you have to be able to balance out that emotional investment of like, yes, I love this place and yes, I want to own it, you know, but okay, you know, let's do the math and make sure that also it makes sense and will be a lucrative investment for us eventually someday down the road. But yeah, the numbers checked out, and, you know, I think that, that emotional investment and that logistical investment were able to meet up and match up, and it made sense for, you know, Sarah and her family as well as for me and my family. So it worked.
Nice.
Yeah.
And in terms of like purchasing the business, is that something that you had to do all up front? Did you get a loan? Were they able to kind of do like a seller's finance deal, or how did that kind of work out?
Yeah, good question. So they wanted a cash purchase, right?
Okay.
They were ready to retire and have their hands done with it. And of course, you know, this would be different depending on the particular business that somebody's interested in purchasing. Yeah. But yeah, they're ready to retire and live their best retired life. So they were looking for their cash.
Yeah. We went over all those options with them and kind of both talked what they would prefer, what we would prefer, and we, you know, we're able to negotiate a little bit because we both were able to do a cash purchase. You know, we had talked about seller financing, but we didn't, neither them or I or us wanted to go that route. And so we were able to.
And fortunately, we were both kind of in a position because of, you know, for different reasons, but, you know, for my family specifically, like I said, we were already small business owners. Yeah. And my husband and I already knew that our next small business investment, whether it be another startup from the ground up or a purchase opportunity like this, we already knew that the next one was in our near future. And so it was something that we were already, you know, making plans for and, you know, freeing up, you know, capital to be able to do something like this soon. Yeah. So the timing worked for us and, you know, for Sarah and her family as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned how different it is to start a business from the ground up and then buy a business. And I can only imagine, because starting a business, like, it grows and grows. And you're like, oh, well, let's bring this into the business. Let's bring this. Let's grow this part. Mm-hmm. But when you buy a business, all that's already going. So you just got to figure it out right away. Can you talk about some of the main differences you've experienced in buying a business versus starting your own?
Sure. I will say the business that we've purchased, I feel very fortunate that it's the specific business that it is because it does have such a long-standing record. Yeah. It already obviously came with an entire clientele. Exactly. Like, it already came with these these processes that have been in place and that have kind of been fine-tuned over the course of the previous 30 plus years of ownership. So there wasn't a whole lot of figuring out that Sarah and I needed to do as new owners of an already really well-established business. You know, it really was as simple as making the purchase and then, you know, sticking with the same processes that previous owners had already sort of perfected. People love Mesa Frozen Yogurt. Like, people did not want to see it taken over by new owners and then completely turned upside down, right? There were little tiny things that we decided to implement because the previous owners were of a past generation. And so
just updating
little things, little, you know, little things.
Anything in particular that you guys
social media has been huge for us, where that was something that I think there was a Mesa Frozen Facebook page as like a placeholder, whereas now we're really active on social media, both on Instagram and on Facebook. Definitely the place needed a physical update. It needed some paint and some other things.
It needed some little cosmetic changes, like the codes had gone up a bit, so we had to you know, restructure a few things.
For health code reasons. After
the fact.
Really, I think all of these things amount to what it really needed was it needed some branding. Like, everybody knew Mesa Frozen Yogurt, but also it just kind of was this accumulation of all these different things over the course of 30 plus years. It really needed like a strong brand to be put over the whole thing, and then some strong brand association to be created. And so that's, I think, like what Sarah was talking about earlier, where I have a lot to do with the look of the shop, but it's so much more than just the look of the shop. It's a cohesive look and feel and sound and, you know, language on our social media platforms. And, you know, the logo needs to speak to it, all the way up to like the product that we do and don't choose to carry, where I think before past owners probably didn't put as much focus and emphasis on that. Whereas now we're working towards something that feels really, really cohesive and you know exactly what to expect when you come into our shop.
Which is a lot more important with social media these days.
I think so too. It's a lot more important than it was before.
We're trying to, you know, a lot of the past clientele are getting older as well. And so with that, we're trying to bring in the new clientele and create another established, loyal customer base that can be, you know, for the rest of their generation. And so that kind of came with it. We needed that new facelift to bring in kind of the newer, younger clientele again and get them in there. And so the social media is huge with that. I mean, that's everything nowadays. And so that was really big in getting our new
brand out there, a new look and feel. And I do think it needed ownership that understands that this new up and coming generation of customer base, they look for something different than past generations of customer base. Past customer base, it was as simple as like a good deal on frozen yogurt or whatever, or a delicious product. And really today's customers, whether it's frozen yogurt or really anything, like customers today are so much more informed, you know, because of things like social media and the internet and whatever. And so it takes more than just that to stand apart from your competition and to create some kind of like brand that a customer base can feel some brand loyalty to. So that's been really exciting.
I think it's interesting. Like back then you could kind of get away with just having good frozen yogurt and that's all, but now if you don't have, you know, good social media, good logo, something that people want to share on their social media as well, and
a good aesthetic,
the aesthetic, then it doesn't matter how good your product is.
It really doesn't. Back then it was like good product and a coupon, like that's what it took. You know what I mean? And it's not that anymore. So people want to be able to relate to their product. And that sounds silly, but I find, like I said, we own a couple of small businesses, and the businesses that personally our family owns are so varied. And I find it doesn't matter which industry I'm working in, it's the same. Like our customer base wants to relate to our product, whether it's frozen yogurt or any of these other industries that we have our hands in.
For sure. You mentioned kind of the old customer base versus the new customers. Is there like a focus on, you know, would you rather try to, you know, hold on to those old customers you have, or focus more on, hey, let's try to find new people, let's market to new people that can be lifelong customers for the future?
My personal feeling is both. And I feel like that's been, for me, that's been the fun challenge of this is doing it just right so that we're updating it enough and we're speaking enough to a newer up and coming generation of customers. But also it's that careful balance of not changing to every choice we've made down there has been, we still want it to look and feel like the same old Mesa Frozen Yogurt that everybody that has been coming into this shop their whole lives, it needs to feel like the same place that they know and love. Yeah. And I think we've struck a really successful balance of making these changes where our lifelong customers come in and they can say like something feels different or something's different, but they can't quite put their finger on it because ultimately it still feels like that same shop that they know and love. And so I personally take that as like the highest level of compliment. Like, oh, we're doing it. You know what I mean? They can tell that it feels slightly better, but they don't quite know how or why. And so they still love it and they still love being there.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, it's so important to both of those crowds bring such a valuable contribution to our business. They each have their own contributions and we each, their loyalty is so important for both of those. I mean, if we hadn't bought the business and I were still just a customer, a long-standing customer, and I had gone in, looking from a customer perspective, I wouldn't want such a huge change that it wouldn't feel like Mesa Frozen anymore. Like I still want it, even if the product was the same, I'd want it to feel, and then if I would go look somewhere else for something else, and then that would lose not only but then all my family's business. And it's so important. And we love our customers. They are such good people. They're friends, they become friends to us. And so it's like losing a friend if you lose a customer, that has been going there forever. And, some of them are on a name-to-name basis, and we keep trying. I mean, we want to establish that connection with them, and we're still learning a lot of those really loyal customers that have been coming for a long time, their first names and stuff. But that's the feel we want. We want someone to be able to come in here and see their picture on the wall from 30 years ago, which is a big thing that our shop does. It's a really... people come in and we have pictures all over from 35 years, and they can point to it and show their kids, hey, look, this is me from 35 years ago or 30 years ago. Yes. And it's such a bonding experience for that older generation and the younger generation to bring them together in our shop.
That is one of my favorite things that I see when I'm back behind the counter and you see some parents walk in with their, obviously like elementary age or like junior high age kids. And they do, hey, if you look over here, here's a picture of, here's a picture of me in high school back when I was here at Mesa Frozen, and I love it. It just
That's our favorite part. Really, even seeing our pictures from when we were younger and our kids coming in, it makes you feel a part of it. It's a community, and we want that community feel.
My kids lie to me. They come in and they like look at the pictures and they're like, Mom, here's you in high school. You look the exact same.
Like, thanks. Here's a dollar.
Hey, Mom, thanks. You lie. But thanks.
Do you spend more time cleaning your pool than you spend swimming in it? Then call Flamingo Pools today. Flamingo Pools is your go-to swimming pool maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Whether it's weekly maintenance, repairs, green to cleans, or one-time cleanings, Flamingo Pools will take care of you. Honest, reliable, and innovative. Just a few of the many good things Flamingo Pools customers have to say about them. Ask them about their mineral treatment, which will keep your chemical levels down, allowing you to have a healthier bathing experience. At Flamingo Pools, they know that your pool was made to be enjoyed, so let them handle the rest. Check them out at azflamingopools.com or give them a call at 480-422-6013. Mention this podcast and you'll get your first month of maintenance completely free. That's azflamingopools.com and 480-422-6013.
So obviously you guys worked for the shop way before you owned it. Was there any benefit you guys saw from working from the shop, or anything you guys learned from your time as employees that's helped you guys now as business owners?
Yeah. Some do, some don't.
Okay. Well, lots of things. I personally think it's helped you and I both be more relatable employers.
Yeah.
I would like to believe, I loved our employers. I loved them. But I would like to believe that our employees now find you and I more relatable maybe than you and I were able to find our employers.
Yeah, 100%.
We're able to say to the girls, like, hey, we know what it's like to have to stay late on a Friday night and close longer than you expected to have to because we ended up with a mad rush and there's a line to the door. Right. Like, we have that experience to speak to, where a handful of things obviously have changed in the however many years since we've been in high school and have worked behind the counter. A lot of the logistics of our employees' job has not changed.
Okay.
So obviously it's been helpful in that way. We know to say to the girls, don't give out free froyo to all your friends, because we were guilty of giving out free froyo to all of our friends.
You know
we
what
know
it's
to
like.
say,
Hey, I never gave out free froyo. I maybe took some home to myself, but no.
I maybe gave out lots of free froyo.
Yeah.
We know to say to the girls, don't sneak your boyfriends behind the counter. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, we did things that, and we know as an employee, they might do those kind of things, because we did those kind of
You
things.
were there in
So,
their exact shoes.
We kind of know, and some things were that we weren't allowed to do. We know, we're okay with now. We're like, hey, this is totally fine. If you need to be on your phone and we didn't even have cell phones. Like,
Yeah,
honestly,
wasn't
I did.
phone.
You're a dinosaur, but I
know.
did.
I didn't get a cell phone until college, but so like I didn't have but that's not even something that we had to deal with back then.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that's something that we can't ignore,
Right.
because it's such a big part of
Yeah.
everyone's lives. And so, but again, being kind of in between, I think, generations for us, we can see both sides of it. So we
sure.
don't, as long as the girls, as an employer, we are able to say, hey, we understand it's important for you to get on your phone, to do homework for whatever reason. So but just remember that you're getting paid to do this job too. So once you get your stuff done, we're totally fine taking the time to check your phone, get your homework done, whatnot. And so I feel like because we were employees, we're able to have a good sense of balance of both. And there's some things we've had to learn as employers. It's not always easy to have to lay down the law when you don't want to. We love our girls and we love everything about them. And so sometimes when things aren't getting done the way they're supposed to, it's kind of hard to be that employer now and be able to be like, hey, this really needs to change,
I do find as a partnership here, there's a lot of things that like Sarah's better at that I'm not so great at, or things that, maybe are my strong suit that aren't hers.
Yeah.
One thing we are lacking here as a partnership is neither one of us are good at being bad cop. Like, we both like love these girls. Like, we want these girls to love their experience as our employees. And so if there's one thing that she and I definitely could improve on as business owners together, we need to figure out how to.
Both our husbands sometimes are like, do you want any nurses to
I was
come
gonna
in?
say,
Yeah, do you
call
want
your
us to
husbands
come
in and
back?
have them
This being said, luckily our employees are gems. Like, these are the loveliest employees. We love having them. They're so critical to our team and to what we do. And I think that she and I do a good job communicating to our girls what the priorities are, what things, just are expected of them as employees. But yeah, I think we've done a good job kind of fostering a work environment that they enjoy being in. And definitely some of that comes from the time you and I spent being employees there ourselves.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I think obviously not everyone has the opportunity to work for the business before they buy it.
Yeah.
But I think it puts you guys in such an awesome position, unique opportunity to be like, hey, I know exactly, like, I've been in your shoes, literally. I know exactly what it's like to be where you are.
Yep. And we remind them of that often. Like, hey, we get it, know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of employees, when you guys took over, did you keep the entire staff, or did you overhaul, or what was?
No, we didn't overhaul. That's
We didn't?
No,
we did. We kept the entire staff.
That's cool.
They were all great girls. I mean, Mesa Frozen has always had really good employees working there for the most part. And so
girls and boys. Sorry, we keep saying girls because specifically right now we just happen to have all female employees.
Okay.
But yeah, they're great girls and boys.
Great, a team. They've always been a great team there.
That's right.
And so we even knew a lot of them personally just as being customers, coming in. We knew them by name. And so it was a really easy takeover. They were all really on top of things already. They, I think, were very gracious to us too. Having new bosses is not always a fun transition because they don't know what to expect.
Right. Were they worried like, oh, new ownership, is everything going to change?
To some degree.
I think maybe they might have been a bit curious, but I also think Sarah and I came in and we were we've always considered them part of the team, right? Yeah. And so we've always been really good, I think, about saying to them, here is our plan for change. And so I don't think there was too much for the girls to be apprehensive about because they knew what our plan was. They knew what our goals were, and they knew how you and I sort of had planned on executing those goals. they knew that we had the goal of keeping the place, looking and feeling like the same old Mesa Frozen that everybody loves, but also, hey, expect these kind of updates. And even to the point where we've been very transparent about like, hey, here's kind of our timeline, right? Here's, the first changes you can expect to see are going to be XYZ. And then after that, you're going to see us implement, this and that. And we've also been really good about feedback, where we've said to the girls, yes, we've worked here, but it's been, dozens of years since we were in your shoes. So you guys know this business right now just as well as we do. What kind of changes do you think people want? And, how do you think we can improve things in the shop? And so we've always been really receptive to that feedback. Even just as now we're going on 2 years of ownership, our most recent changes that we made in the shop about a month ago, one of our employees knew to feel comfortable to text us and say, hey, saw what you did. I really like this and this and this about it. Have you thought about also this and this and that? And so I do think that we've created sort of a collaborative
I feel
the
open
team
and
feeling
comfortable
there,
to
yes,
be able to
giving their
say
opinions
that.
and their
That's
feedback,
cool.
and that's critical they are because they are there more than, I mean, we're there a lot as owners, but they are behind the counter more than we are, and so they hear feedback more than we do. So it's really critical that they are able to relate to us what our customers want and what their feedback is as well. And so I think they feel comfortable. I know they feel comfortable talking to us about that. And that's invaluable to us to have that relationship with them. Yeah. To be able to communicate those things.
What's your best advice for business owners to kind of best manage employees and create like an open, comfortable environment to talk to one another like that?
Well, as far as best managing employees, I think, like I said, somebody's got to be the bad cop. Not that this is something we have a ton of. Luckily, this is not something we've had to. It's not been an issue much, but every now and then we're managing employees, and so there is also that there has to be that somebody's got to be bad cop sometimes. I wish we were better at that, but other than that, I think I don't even know how to. I think just that openness.
Yeah, I think I heard a phrase once that that stuck with me. And this is beyond just building a solid friendship, I think. Not even just like an employee-employer relationship, but a friendship. Building and talking to them about things outside of work. Yeah. I love talking to our team, our girls. They're all, like Becca said, they're all girls right now. But it's so fun. Hey, what's your weekend plans? What'd you do last weekend? What's going on in your world? Because then we get to know not only what's going on at the shop, but we get a feel of why things may be happening at the shop, the way, if they're whatever, and that builds the friendship. But then it takes it to another level, and when we do have to step in and be the bad cop, they understand that it's coming at a place of love. And I heard the phrase that I was referring to is make it easy for them to be trustworthy, and so make it easy for them to be honest. And so so that they don't ever, you earn their respect. And so, and I hope that we've done that. I hope that we're on a level of friendship, but also respect, so that they want to be honest and want to come to us with problems, and that they don't ever want to, give out free or steal whatever, some businesses deal with that. We thankfully never had to because we have such an awesome team. But
well, you know what? I like that. But also, so just while you were answering that, it got me thinking back to your question. You said, any advice as far as like managing employees. Yeah. And then your answer has me thinking it really is less about, I don't think of it as managing employees, and I don't think you really think of it as managing employees either. It's less about managing employees and more about managing relationships. And so I think as soon as you stop thinking about these people that are in our lives as our employees, and more about these are relationships that I have an opportunity to manage and to foster and to impress upon. And even that's a really, really neat part, I think, of our responsibility of being employers to these employees at kind of what is a really formative age. We then have that unique opportunity. We know that relationship status then is there when I get requests from these girls for like, hey, I'm applying for college, and would you be willing to write me a letter of reference? And hey, I'm applying for XYZ scholarship, and would you be able to write me a letter of character or whatever? And it's really cool that they feel that then they know us well enough and we know them well enough that we can speak towards and vouch for their character. And I don't think that every boss to employee relationship is necessarily that way. But when you think of it as just like, instead of managing employees, but rather managing relationships with individuals, it puts you more in that position, I think.
That's cool. And I think employees can definitely tell as well when their boss views them as just another employee or someone that they really want to develop a relationship with. Yeah. And I think that motivates them to want to perform better as well.
Oh, for sure. And there is just kind of by nature of this industry, something I think we have that's unique. There's a lot of turnover in a, food style industry, especially when who you're employing is, primarily you start with high school age kids.
Right.
But I think something unique at Mesa Frozen is we don't have the level of turnover that you would expect from, essentially a fast food or a convenience food type of a setup. We hire these kids typically right around their junior year is, when they're about old enough to get this job. And for a lot of kids, it is their first job, right? 16 years old, and they're looking for a little part-time after school work. And you would think you would expect higher turnover. In our industry, there is higher turnover, but rather our pattern really is most of our employees end up staying not only through their high school career, but then after graduation and as they're kind of formulating their next steps into like young adulthood and what their plan is, most of them hang on to that job at Mesa Frozen for as long as they can. Yeah. And it's not until they either go away to college.
Until they have to. Right?
Yeah. It's either until they go away to college or until they get engaged or whatever and really need to start thinking about taking those next life step forwards.
Right.
So
yeah, it's a great place to work. Just even remembering when I worked there, it's a great place to work. I mean, who wouldn't want to work at Mesa Frozen?
And then we have this stack of applications on our desk,
we
constantly.
do. We feel bad. We're always having to turn because no one wants.
There's not a ton of turnover, so we don't have.
Leaving.
We only hire one usually at a time, and
when a spot's vacated.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Until she and I we start to look at each other. Like I said, we'll have 3 or 4 employees that are kind of coming up on that age, 18 going on 19, and we're like, great, we're gonna leave 3 of them. We're gonna lose 3 of them all at one time, So, anyways,
that's funny.
Yeah.
A little bit ago, you guys had mentioned kind of your partnership and your strengths and weaknesses. Could you guys kind of talk a bit more about that? Maybe kind of the different roles you guys have within the business.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Well, again, I think Becca is just fantastic at the whole look and feel, like she was talking about the branding, everything. Like I kind of leave that in her ballpark. Like I said, even if we wouldn't have partnered up, I knew that I would have hired her or got her on board somehow just to do that relook for us and to be a part of that because she's just, even before we took over this job, I remember you were wanting to do interior designing and real estate and all, just like the looks. She's just fantastic at her creativity is unbounded. And so I've really admired that in Becca. So I think that's her biggest contribution, and my brother, her husband, is invaluable as well in terms of he can do anything. And so he's our handyman, he's our he's our business mind. He helps with behind the scenes with a lot of ideas. He gets everything. Like he's just fantastic. And so I knew he would be fantastic to have on board too because he's a jack of all trades and we love him so much. So they're kind of the front scenes, or especially Becca is just the creativity behind the shop. And I think I kind of do more of the back end of the books and the details of the logistics. And we both take on ordering and getting supplies and stuff like that. We kind of have a system that we have down for that. But I'm kind of more hands-on behind the scenes and the details of running it. I don't know if that's how you would say it, but
yeah, I agree. I think that Sarah's huge about, she's really, really good at the detail-oriented type things of the business ownership that, not that I'm not capable of doing, but that I'm
not as passionate about.
Exactly. I'm not as excited to do it. And therefore I will procrastinate it until the very, very last minute. Whereas she's very detail oriented and good at like, if there's a task that needs to be done, Sarah's going to make sure that it gets done and that we stay on top of it. Yeah. And so she's very good at keeping us organized in that way. And honestly keeping our business legitimate and on the up and up, because that's not my forte. And, to me, those tasks are, that's boring. And so
Boring
it
things,
would.
taxes and
Yes,
stuff like
yes,
that.
yes. And
They
so
are boring,
she's,
but-
they're boring, but she'll do it. But I think that, what we've learned from working together, I think we have kind of this clearer idea of who's better at what things and who's more likely to get which things done in which kind of a way. And then once you know those things about each other, really having that full trust in each other as partner. Like, I just know the things that Sarah's getting done every month, and I just know that she's going to get them done, and I trust her to do those.
Yeah.
And then she just knows which things I'm going to get done that month, and she is able to trust me to get those things done because she knows those are the things that fall within sort of my scope of, my role of owner, or, what's her scope as her role of owner. And then also just having that clear communication so that those things that maybe don't as obviously fall within her scope or my scope, great, let's talk about it. And who's going to take this and who's going to take that?
Yeah.
So luckily we are both down there, very regularly. I mean,
every day.
one or the other of us
I was
is there
gonna ask,
every
you guys,
day.
like in the shop a
Yeah.
lot? Or
Yeah.
is it-
So currently, and this is, boring logistics for people to hear, but right, like she's there at least, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday doing some of the day-to-day business ownership stuff. And then I'm there Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday doing the day-to-day ownership stuff. That's the way it is on paper. More often than not, those kind of bleed into each other, and, one or the other, or both of us end up being there every day for at least some chunk of the day.
Yeah.
Just checking in or checking off some task off the list.
And we do both work shifts during the week too. And so,
Yes.
whether that falls on the day we're supposed to be there or not, if it doesn't, sometimes we're there every day.
Yes.
And we're.
That's where
so
I'm going
much-
after this. I have a shift at the yogurt shop as soon as we're done
Yeah,
here.
'cause we like having that relationship too. We love being able to be part of serving and meeting customers and kind of knowing what's going on behind the counter as well. That's important to us. So we do try to make sure that we both work shifts every week to have that experience as well.
Which I think is so important in a
Yeah.
small business, by the way. Like, great to be like, oh, I'm the owner and I've got all these big ideas and we're going to implement all these things. But unless you spend some period of time then actually like doing the work and engaging with your customers and, having that actual like retail experience, shared retail experience, like, how do you honestly know if, your big ideas that you're implementing are a success or not? Like, I guess, yes, you always have the books to reflect, that measure of success.
For sure.
But there are so many other measures of success in a small business as well.
Totally.
But
And
I
you
think
can,
as customers, they love coming in seeing the owners
Yeah.
too. Like that's
yeah.
kind of a small business feel, is going in there knowing the owner by name and being able to talk with them. And, I think that's important as a customer too,
Yeah.
to be able to have that relationship
Yeah.
yeah.
with the business owners.
Yeah. And I guess you could kind of become a bit tone deaf if you're not ever in the shop. You
For
have no
sure.
idea what the vibe is kind of going on there. And
Yeah. We
There's a
definitely don't have that.
No.
Anytime we're trying out some new product or whatever, it's, we're the first to test it. We're, then, our children, hey, try this. Do you like it?
Family.
No, it's gross. All right, we'll fine tune.
Our
You know what
family
I mean?
loves when we use them as taste testers.
Yes, taste testers.
Our big
Everybody's
family night
always
down at the
happy.
Royal Shop.
Yeah.
Yes, we've done that many times. Yep.
Well, we can't close without talking about the actual frozen yogurt. So let's talk a bit about that, because I know you guys have different flavors pretty much every day, right? Some new flavors that come in. Maybe not brand new, but you switch out flavors.
So currently we offer 6 flavors a day. We always have chocolate. We always have vanilla. The other 4 flavors always change. Actually, cool, big announcement.
Yeah.
Didn't plan on doing this, but we actually just bought another machine. So starting on November 1st, we'll actually be offering 8 flavors every day.
Wow.
So again, that same format of we always have chocolate, we always have vanilla. The other 6 flavors will change every day.
One of those will be no sugar, and one of those will be a dairy-free option, because we've had a huge request for that. So that will be a daily offering now, rather than
Nice.
we've only had it
Like once a week or so.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So now that'll be something that we can offer every day. The flavors themselves, we have just this extensive list back in the back of the different flavors that we offer throughout the course of the month and the recipes for how to make them. That's something unique that I don't think everybody knows. Even longtime Mesa Frozen fans don't realize we do so much more than just order product from a vendor and then dump a jug into our machines.
Right.
These are actual recipes that past owners have perfected and that Sarah and I continue to, some of them, tweak and perfect and improve with time. So it's more than just dumping, product from a jug into the machine. There's an actual hand mixing process that goes on back in the back every morning.
Art to it.
Yep. So we do hand mix our flavors every day. So our flavor offerings are unique. People think I'm funny because they'll ask me what my favorite flavors are, and I'll tell them, I actually love our vanilla. Vanilla is my favorite flavor. And people look at me and vanilla. But it's because we have our own secret ingredients and our own secret recipe to make our own unique signature vanilla flavor that you can only get at Mesa Frozen, and it's better than anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% better.
But the flavors themselves, like I said, these are mostly recipes that have been there and handed down for a long time, and we haven't changed the recipes hardly at all. There are a couple that we've tweaked a bit, but most of them are still the same.
We've added a few.
We've added new flavors,
and stuff, but there's over 40 flavors that we offer and there's certain days that customers know they can come in, like Wednesdays and Saturdays. We always have chocolate Irish mint.
We always have tart cherry on Wednesday.
Yeah, so there's certain days when a certain flavor is always there, but after that and beyond that, there's that was one of my
Sarah creates our calendar,
monthly chores is to create the calendar for the next month, and so it's not computer generated anyway. It has to be done by hand because, like Becca was saying, the recipes are unique and some flavors get used in other flavors, and so you have to. It's a process
and it's a thoughtful process.
Yeah, it really is.
So
when
you
throwing them on there.
When you guys see our monthly calendar, that really is Sarah having sat down and gone, which flavors are going to go good with this? And, which flavors has it been a couple of weeks since we've run? And, hey, it's coming up into our seasonal flavors right now.
Gotcha.
So now we need to take these summertime flavors out of rotation and add in these ones instead. And, what's going to be super complementary with these flavors that day.
Because the flavors have to sometimes they mix together, right? So you want to make sure that
we can always mix any number of those flavors together in a cup or in a cone. And they're delicious. I mean, we have customers that come in that say, we've been coming here 20 years and, these still taste just as good as I remember from when I was a kid. Or another favorite is we'll have people that come in that say, hey, we've actually moved away, but we come back for the holidays. And every time we're back in town, we have to stop at Mesa Frozen.
That's awesome.
Or people that say hey, we've moved to the other side of town, right? This is a 45-minute drive, but I make the drive once a week because there's no other frozen yogurt close to me that's anywhere near as good as what you guys have.
Sure.
So people love the flavor. People love the quality.
That's the other reason we have the calendars. People plan trips to the yogurt shop, and so they plan it on their favorite flavor days, so that they can make sure. And I think something else that's unique about our shop that not other yogurt places offer is that we have a freezer of hard packs of 16-ounce quart-size, yogurts that if there's not a flavor that they like. And we make these fresh every day. A lot of people think that we just use what's left at the end of the day to put them in the freezer, but these are actually made first thing in the morning every day.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have a certain amount that we know that kind of gets used up throughout the week. So we'll plan to put that amount in the freezers in the back so that those are always available for customers. If they come, they don't have their favorite flavor. There's options in the freezer that are fresh and ready for them that they could just take and grab and go if they don't want what we have fresh for the day.
That's cool.
So,
Sarah, what's your favorite flavor then?
There's so many. Now, because we're in the holidays, the first thing that came to mind is pumpkin. Our pumpkin is amazing.
Our pumpkin is so
especially
good.
with the cheesecake. And that's so good, pumpkin. Or one of mine, there's not a favorite. I mean, it's kind of like picking your favorite star in the heavens. I mean, it's just... Every flavor has a special spot in my heart with the different combination, or salted caramel is fantastic with peanut butter. I mean, the list is extensive. I couldn't pick a favorite one, but there's so many. Any day there's a favorite one on there. So.
Yeah, that's more accurate. You look at that day's 6 flavors and you go, of these, this one's my favorite.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's fun to be able to create those, and even customers come in and be like, hey, this would be really cool to have this flavor with this kind of a thing. And so we're always creating new combinations monthly from customer feedback and from what we choose. There's so many options that we have a million favorites.
I have to say that my new favorite flavor is your watermelon. I just had it a little bit ago.
People love watermelon.
It's so
watermelon
good.
yesterday
It's
with
just refreshing,
coconut.
and I could have so much. And I'm mad. I'm kicking myself because you guys just had it a few days ago,
We just had it
right?
yesterday.
Dang
Yeah,
it.
with coconut. It tastes like a Bahama Bucks with the cream on it. That's the most feedback I get from people is that the watermelon, but ours is 10 times better. But
Yeah, it's so
but
good.
it's yes, people.
That's
love that
one of our
watermelon.
vegan flavors.
It is.
And
Yeah.
so that was something that Sarah and I implemented a new product line when we took over. Was, you know, we were hearing this feedback from our customers in our community, you know, oh, we love Mesa Frozen, we just wish you had dairy-free options. And so we implemented, you know, we created a bunch of, you know, dairy-free, you know, completely vegan recipes, and we started offering just one a week. And really that is what motivated us to get the new machine. Was we had basically feedback every day. Somebody like, hey, I love that you have vegan flavors now, I just wish you had it more often. Or, hey, I love that you have sugar-free options now, I just wish you had it more often. So now this new machine is going to make that possible for us starting here in a couple of weeks. So
That's
excited.
fun. That's super exciting.
Yeah, watermelon's great though.
It is, and that was one of the customers' feedback. Hey, you should try this with coconut. And so we
Yeah,
did, and
I've gotten the
it's
watermelon and
actually,
coconut
I don't
swirl.
like watermelon by itself personally, but with coconut, it's a dream. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't think. What was your favorite flavor? I don't know. If
I love our vanilla. So
That's what
I
we
can't
said
go
that
wrong
one.
with when people come in. And in fact, I just had a lady last week come in and she said to me, hey, what's your favorite flavor? And I said, you're going to laugh, but it's vanilla. She goes, all right, you know, let me try the vanilla. And so I, you know, packed it up for her. She was taking it to go. I got a call on the Mesa Frozen phone like an hour later. And she's all, I don't know if you remember me. I'm the tall blonde that was in there like an hour ago. You told me to get vanilla. This is the best vanilla I've ever had in my life. She called me
That's
from
crazy.
home to be like, you're right. And I thought you were crazy. And But anyways, I love that. Another one that I say to people is peanut butter. If you're a peanut butter fan, like I know you think you can get peanut butter at a bunch of places. Ours is better than everywhere else.
Yeah.
Like try our peanut butter. It's super good. I agree. Pumpkin's awesome. I spent all year waiting for us to have pumpkin. I'm a tart fan. I like our tart flavors a lot.
Yeah.
Ooh, espresso decaf. I'm a coffee drinker.
That's today, I think. I'm gonna have
Today's
to go there,
Thursday.
yeah.
Oh yeah, we do. We have
I'm gonna go
espresso
there
decaf today. So, but
That's
yeah,
one of our favorites too. Oh, there's
same.
so many good ones.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah.
But if you're ever at the shop and you're not sure, Becca says you can't go wrong with vanilla.
Well, we're gonna have to shift because I'm getting a little too hungry. talking about all the flavors. I can't believe we're almost at an hour now. That went by super fast.
Oh shoot.
Before we close up, though, a couple things we're gonna do. First off, we have a quick game we're gonna play. And so how it goes is we've got a list of questions, and you have 60 seconds to answer as many questions as possible. So you'll just switch off answering. These are just like short, rapid fire questions, like things you got, like opinions, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So
Becca goes first.
I was just gonna say Sarah goes first.
I'll pull up the clock. So we will start that in 3, 2, 1. Dream vacation.
Ooh, Fiji.
First thing you'd buy if you won $1 million.
New houses for all my family.
Favorite hobby.
Music. Does that count?
Yeah.
Okay.
If there was an Olympic competition for everyday activities, which activity would you have a good chance at winning a medal in?
Yoga. I don't know if that
A song you've been
counts that.
jamming to lately.
Oh shoot. Cut 'Em In by Anderson .Paak.
If you lived to be 100, would you rather have the mind or the body of your prime self?
Oh gosh, that's hard. Or both, a little bit of both. I don't know. Mind. I'd have to say mind.
Okay.
Probably.
Favorite holiday.
Halloween.
It's favorite ice cream flavor. We'll say favorite frozen yogurt flavor.
I'll just say pumpkin.
Favorite fictional character.
Oh shoot. Harry Potter. That's not true, but this is rapid fire.
And it's Halloween.
Favorite smell.
Oh, homemade bread.
Nickname.
Becca Boo.
Pet peeve.
The
Ooh,
name armpit.
what's your
I hate
answer?
that word. Armpit. I don't know why.
Okay, so we got 11. Not bad. Not bad.
Nice.
Cool, guys. Well, before we do close up, though, I'm super curious. You guys have given us so much good information so far, but if you guys both had one last piece of advice you'd give to business owners, whether they're just getting started or, you know, have already been in business for a while, what would it be?
I think what Becca said about doing your due diligence is really important. And even with a couple of the other podcasts that I've listened to that you've had, I think that's been really important with anyone, whether you're buying a business or whether you're starting from scratch. Like, it's really important to know what you're getting to. Create a business plan, know what you want, know your expectations, know what you're getting into, know the financial part of it. Like, really do your due diligence and knowing what you're getting into, and that you're not, that you can handle what you're taking on, and that you have the capabilities or the potential for other people to help you take on those capabilities, because it's the worst thing to start a business and have it fail. So just
For sure.
do your due diligence and know what you're getting into.
And I think probably my best advice for somebody considering business ownership is to keep it all in perspective. I think a lot of people have the wrong idea of what it means to be self-employed or to be a business owner. A lot of people think that it's going to be somehow easier than regular employment. I don't think that, the hustle is any less. If anything, it might be more. Definitely the stressors of business ownership and self-employment are not less. They're just different. So there are lots of times that, I'm finding myself at the end of a long day or a long week or a long month or whatever, stressed or overwhelmed from, self-employment. But just keeping it into perspective and remembering this is a life that I've chosen for myself because, the stressors that I have or that I encounter, in this line of work are, for me, preferable to the stressors or whatever that I would encounter in like a traditional employment type of a line of work. So keeping it into perspective, I think, is my best word of advice.
Yeah. No, that's awesome advice, because I think you hit it on the head. So many people think, oh, it's just so much easier to own a business. I can work for myself. I don't have to deal with, a boss telling me what to do. But it is
not true.
Just as hard or even harder sometimes.
Sure.
So I did want to ask just real quickly, what makes it worth it for you guys to deal with all the stresses that come with owning a business?
I think for me personally, I kind of to what I was just saying, I do try to keep the perspective of, the issues that I'm encountering are not any better or worse. Everybody's stressed at their job, right? And so just making sure that there's that for me, what makes it worth it is that work-life balance of yes, I'm stressed, but put it into perspective. The things that I am stressed about are, for me personally as an individual, they're more in alignment with the lifestyle that I want than perhaps the stressors that I would be encountering in more traditional employment, right? And so I'd rather deal with these stressors all day, every day, because they are more in alignment with the lifestyle that I'm after. Specifically, the flexibility that I have and the ability that I still have to spend time in my home or with my children, or even in a pinch, if I have to go to work for some reason, I can take my kids with me, and they think it's the cool. We both have, and they think it's the coolest thing in the world when I'm like, "Hey guys, bummer, but you guys have to come down to the shop and help mom because we're in a pinch and I've got to go stand behind the counter for one of our employees." My kids love it. Both of our kids think it's the coolest thing that their moms own a yogurt
together and they get to play together.
Oh my gosh, that's the best. Yeah, and so our kids are hanging out in the lobby, and they're able to do their homework or whatever while mom has to work. And
you can't do that at a regular job.
No way, at least not
as easily,
not as easily, and I don't think with the same degree of. It's very satisfying to me to see our kids see us working hard and to see our kids.
And to start putting our kids to work. Some of them are working.
Yes, some of them we're already teaching them how to use the register and how to wash the dishes. So won't be long before you see that next generation of Speakmans and Carusos behind the counter.
Yeah, I think it may be kind of cheesy, but honestly, even when we first took over the shop, and even to this day, I think the most happiness that I get is literally when I watch a customer try our product and their face lights up and they're like, this is the best I've ever tried. That's because I grew up knowing that and believing that and tasting that. Yeah. This is an emotional product for me. It really has a lot of emotion behind it. So seeing someone else have that same joy, to use a emotional word when they taste our product, especially for the first time, that brings me a lot of happiness. And knowing that I'm able to provide that and have a hand and providing that to our customers and to people to have something that they can become emotionally attached to and that, provides joy to them. It's very satisfying to me. And to be able to provide that for my own family, all the time now. We love it. So it's just a very fulfilling job.
Awesome. Okay.
I enjoy it.
Well, guys, thanks again so much for coming on today and sharing all that information with us. I know we've all learned a lot today.
This was so much fun. Yeah. Thank you for having us.
No, for sure. Why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you either online or if they want to come in to get some frozen yogurt?
Sure. So, obviously, we're at Mesa Frozen Yogurt. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram.
Mesa Froyo, right, is on Instagram. That's our name.
Yeah, I think so.
Mesa Froyo. Logistically, we're on the southwest corner of Gilbert and Southern, tucked back in the corner right next to Teaching Tools. We kind of say that we're between Teaching Tools and Ned's Crazy Sub. For those who know Ned's, we're down closer to Teaching Tools, but that's our little spot, our little sweet spot, and we love seeing new faces, so come in and say hi. We also have a website, mesafrozenyogurt.com. It's easy. So
you can check out the calendar there, right?
Check out the calendar. Check out
and we
the
have
flavors,
hard copies in the shop too. So, yep.
Awesome.
Come stop by. Come get some.
Cool. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch you all next week.
Thank
you.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Just a few things before we go. First off, we wanted to say a big thank you to our sponsor, Legend Acres. They're an award-winning, veteran-owned small business that offers dog training, service dog training, mentor training programs, and more. Legend Acres also offers online interactive training sessions and on-demand classes so you can train your dog from the comfort and convenience of your own home. Check them out at legend-acres.com. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please take a few seconds to rate and review and hit that subscribe button. It lets us know how we're doing and helps us grow so we can reach more locals, entrepreneurs, and help small businesses grow. Thanks, guys.